Peace. What's going on, y'all? Rob Blackstone. How's everybody doing? I wanted to talk about the winter solstice and the power behind the winter solstice and how we can use this energy to our benefit. Now, starting tomorrow, sometime if you're in the East Coast, it's after, I believe, 11:48, if I'm correct, 11:48 p.m. We are entering the winter solstice. So what that means is on the 22nd of December of 2019, we will be entering the longest night of the year and the shortest day of the year. So Sunday will be the shortest day of the year, but the longest night of the year. Now, what does that mean? Well, we know spiritually, right? We are, as people that are spiritual and people that are following this left-hand path, what we do is we don't follow tradition. We don't follow earthly tradition. We follow the cosmos. We follow nature. We follow the tradition of our ancestors who honored nature and did things according to the cycles of nature. So that's what we're doing here. As electromagnetic beings who ride the waves of frequency, being light waves, sound waves, right? And we emit a vibration when we are in motion, and even with our thoughts hold vibration and frequency and wave function. We are basically surfing the wave of this energy, and we are using nature to our benefit. Now, what does the solstice mean to us? How is it going to help us? Let's look at another culture that is actually honoring the winter solstice. These are the Jews. Now, the Jews are celebrating Hanukkah the same time. Hanukkah starts on the 22nd. Let's look at how the Jews have advanced using Hanukkah. The Jews were oppressed by the Greeks, and Hanukkah is basically a celebration celebrating the Maccabees overthrowing or taking back Jerusalem, right? That's the story, that the Maccabees came and took back Jerusalem. And his name was actually Judah Maccabee. And he came and took back Jerusalem. And the story is when he went into the temple, there was only enough olive oil to last for a night. But when he lit this olive oil, not a candle, he lit this olive lamp, the lamp lasted for 8 days. So it was a miracle. And basically the whole holiday is about overcoming, or people who fight against great odds. And that's what the whole culture, the whole myth of Hanukkah is about. Now, this myth of Hanukkah, right, happens to land on the solstice every single year, right? So it's landing on the solstice. And we see what happened with the Jews, right? The Jews run the world. We know black people are the original Jews, right? Black Ethiopians are the original Jews. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go into the history of that. You could easily look that up online. I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube speaking about that. You could go into that for yourself. But these people have used this energy of nature by harnessing the power of the winter solstice to manifest the things that they want, right? And to run Hollywood and run the world. So, and even create their own state of Israel, which is really a state that was taken from the Palestinians, right? Israel came about in the late 1900s. Like, it's a recent creation. It's not something that's been around since the beginning of time, but they've created it, right? And about 1,000 years from now, the history will change. They'll edit the history and they'll make it seem like Israel has been around for millions of years. I promise you. So what does this mean for you? What does this mean for me? How is this going to help me, Rob Blackstone? I don't care about the Jews. How is this going to help me? How is this going to help me in my daily life? This is how. What happens now is the veil is very, very, very thin. People say on Halloween the veil is the thinnest. That's incorrect. This is when the veil is really the thinnest, because we have the longest day of night ever on the 22nd. We have the longest day of night. One of the things we could do, or we should be doing during these next couple of days, Hanukkah is 8 days. This is not the time to be indulging in fuckery, right? Gossip, arguments, foolish chatter on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, just things that are very low vibrational, things that are very low level, things that are taking you away from your spiritual core. And now is the time for us to dig deeper into our spiritual core. Now is the time for us to develop our values. Now is the time for us to manifest our highest selves, whatever that may be. And your highest self is basically living whatever your purpose is here on earth to do. And we all have a purpose. To find your purpose, just find out what it is that you love, what it is that you would do if the earth blew up today and an angel came down out of heaven and said, look, you can do any job on earth that you want. What would you do? That is your purpose. That's your purpose. That's your passion. That's what you love. So you want to figure out how you could get to that purpose and how you can manifest that purpose here on earth. When you're talking about night, what happens during the night? They say the freaks come out at night, right? But also people go to sleep. And when you go to sleep, you are astral traveling through your subconscious. You're having dreams. In your dreams, you're seeing signs and symbols, right? You're going different places. You're, there's lucid dreams where you feel like you're actually in the dream. I've had lucid dreams where that I've woke up and felt like I've been hurt and felt like I've been stabbed. There's some people who have lucid dreams that come out the dream. They've actually physically been hurt, physically been scratched. Things from the dream have come back with them in the form of scars, right? So we actually astral travel when we are sleeping. We're going into another dimension, another realm. We're going to where the veil is thin. We're traveling the astral plane. So we're literally going into outer space, right? We're going into the darkness of space. So the darkness of space is the real world. We live in a world of illusion. This world that we live in, this three-dimensional world, is nothing more than a light and sound show. That's it. Because again, we are electromagnetic beings. We're beings made of electricity and magnetism, right? This world, as Morpheus told Neo, is nothing more than electrical signals that's interpreted by your brain. And the whole reason I can't put my hand straight through the cell phone is because I have a magnetic field around every atom of my body. So that magnetic field will not allow me to go put my hand through the cell phone. But with enough going into the darkness within, going into myself, tapping into my intuition, eventually I should be able to get to that point where I'm able to manipulate matter and walk through walls. What's going to happen is eventually, as people continue to raise their consciousness, people continue to raise their children, we see that there's even a food movement where people want to eat healthier, people want to preserve the environment. As long as this type of thing continues and the new generation born is adopting these ideals, mental health, right? All these things that are designed to uplift. When I grew up, there was no mental health. This didn't exist. People didn't say, I had social anxiety. Like that wasn't a thing. You just dealt with it, right? You figured out a way to deal with it. And the people who did go to therapy or the people that were trying to heal themselves, it was a very isolated community. And 9 times out of 10, you probably go by yourself because there was no real outlet for you to discuss that or for you to figure out how to deal with that energy. So during this time period, what we want to do, being that we are going through the longest night, is we want to use that long night, especially on the 22nd, which is Sunday. We want to program our reality. And programming our reality is figure out what you want. And not just what you want, like a car or a home or a boo or, a new chain, you know what I'm saying? Some Yeezys, some Jimmy Choos, not that. Figure out who you want to be in life, what type of character you want to embody. If you are a person who is into myth, right? You're into Yoruba, you're into Kemetic culture, you are, you're into the Lovecraft tradition, right? Or Kabbalah, whatever it is. You want to look at these ideals, look at these archetypes, and figure out what archetype you want to manifest going forward. What type of energy you want to manifest going forward. Who you want to actually be going forward. Not the things you want to acquire, but who you want to be. And who you want to be will lead to you getting the things that you want to acquire. The miracles that have happened this year have been crazy, especially with what I've been going through, or what I've gone through, I should say, because I'm coming out of it now. But what I've gone through, the miracles that kind of kept me afloat have been astounding, right? However, I don't think these miracles would have manifested if I didn't have this spiritual foundation that I was harnessing when things were going well. And because I had this spiritual foundation that I was harnessing and diving into when things were going well, it was able to sustain me during these hard times. Now, a lot of us have, at least for me, myself, this year for me personally was about dealing with childhood trauma, dealing with things that I've been doing since my childhood. For instance, I realized that for myself, there's certain habits that I had to turn off. There's certain habits that I had to change. There's certain habits that I had that were holding me back. And the habits that I acquired that were holding me back were directly my coping mechanisms for when I was a child. I'll give you one example. When I was younger, I was a basketball addict. And when I say a basketball addict, like, it was unreal. Like, I would play NBA 2K for hours, 6, 7, 8 hours on that, like crazy, you know, playing NBA 2K, losing jobs off playing NBA 2K. I would leave jobs if there was a certain game on, you know, Kobe was playing or something like that. I would leave, you know, I would try to leave early, or if there was something I would do, I might even call out. That's how crazy it was. I was a serious basketball addict. And while it tempered down, you know, as I've gotten older, that addiction to basketball, maybe I wasn't leaving the job because now I have kids, I have different responsibilities, I have rent to pay, you know, not a little kid anymore. But because I have different responsibilities, because I have different responsibilities, I couldn't do it as much. But what I was doing is I was still addicted to basketball. I was still watching sports shows every day. I would still have to watch the highlights every single day. I would still watch commentary about basketball every single day. Even though I was studying and doing my spiritual work and all that, basketball was still a central part of my life, and it was still part of that addiction. Why was that? The reason that was happening to me when I was younger, and I was trying to escape the tension and the toxicity that was happening in my household at the time, one of my escapes was going to the park and playing basketball. So if I was always at the park, I would get in trouble. At first, I got in trouble for going to the park because the park that I lived at was really, the park that I was close to was really dangerous, right? People were getting shot. You know, it was in the 90s, you know, crack era. So it was dangerous. Nobody wants their child in a dangerous area. But I was getting in trouble for going there so much, and it was so close to my house. Eventually, my mother just accepted it. She was just like, he's going to go to the park anyway, so let him go, right? So I was always at the park, always at the park. So basketball, and I was playing basketball. So basketball was one of my ways of coping with stress. So even though I was an adult, the way I was still coping with things was following basketball, being involved in basketball, being addicted to basketball. And I realized that, this doesn't make sense. Like, why am I following these millionaire men? Now, don't get me wrong, I still like basketball. You know, I still enjoy it, but I'm now being able to go a day or two. And I know that doesn't sound like it's a big thing to some of y'all, but you may have addictions that you've had since childhood, even if you're smoking weed every day. You know, something that I did, smoked weed every day. You have to ask yourself, what's the first time you smoked weed? Why did you start smoking weed? And the first time you smoked weed for 2, 3, 4 days straight, why did you do it? That is nothing wrong with smoking weed. If you're hustling, if you're accomplishing shit, if you have an empire, if you have a successful business, if you're living your purpose and you're smoking weed every day, more power to you. There's some people who could do that, you know? There's some people who could do that. If you're having a successful relationships with people also, if you're not always tired, you know, if you're not eating yourself to death because you're smoking all the time, you're in good health, more power to you. There is the rare few that can do that. For most people, they're wasting their time. And weed puts you in a relaxing position, right? There's sometimes you need to get up and go. There's sometimes you don't need to be in your head on a day-to-day basis. A lot of people say, oh, I have anxiety. Well, there's different ways of handling anxiety. And one of those ways is meditation. When you meditate, it's pretty much the same thing as you being high. But I digress. So one of the things I had to do with the weed is realize I can't smoke this shit every day. I just can't. I'm not going to accomplish my goals. I'm not going to accomplish getting the things that I want. So I have to set a time for it, right? But I realized weed was also one of my coping mechanisms. And the first time I smoked weed, it was not only because I was hanging out with my friends, but I was also getting kicked out a lot. So because I was getting kicked out of my house a lot, if you're getting kicked out your house 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, what are you going to do? You're going to hang out with dudes in the street. So these are just two examples of things that I have been going through and I have been realizing, and I have been basically deleting a lot of these childhood processes or my childhood coping mechanisms. And now, as a man, taking on new ways of coping and figuring out how to cope in ways that are much more positive than they have been in the past. And this is actually giving me new skills in order to handle life. And I'm loving it right now. I'm loving it, you know? So how you want to deal with this energy of the winter solstice is you want to go within. During the night of the 22nd, actually Saturday night, if you're up past midnight, you want to just sit in darkness for like an hour. If you're a meditator and you meditate for 15, 20 minutes, and then after that, just sit in darkness for like an hour, 2 hours. No TV, no phone, no radio, no music, no distraction, no light. Just sit in darkness if possible and plant the seed of intention. During the day, write down what you want to be, who you want to be around. Write down what your soul family looks like. And by your soul family, I mean people that are going to help you to get where you want to be. People are going to assist you on this journey of life. People that are going to give you direction, and people that are going to help give you guidance, and also things that will help guide you. And that may be material things. It may be a home. It may be a new place to live. And I'm not discounting you wanting to manifest material things during that time, because we all need material things. God, the universe wants you to be abundant. I know that. The universe wants you to be abundance, or else abundance wouldn't be here for you to get. So yes, you could manifest those things. You want to manifest money. You want to manifest a new house, a new job, a new career. But these things should be secondary to you changing who you are. So if you're not used to speaking up for yourself, maybe you see yourself speaking up for yourself. Write down, I start speaking up for myself more. And you start in that darkness, visualizing yourself speaking up in situations that you wouldn't speak up. Maybe you're a gossiper, right? And people don't like you because you gossip. So maybe you start visualizing yourself not gossiping, not watching the shows with the tea, not being involved with celebrity gossip, which is just fueling you becoming a gossip more. And whatever your issue is, right? Maybe you want to go to the gym and you want to lose weight or something like that. Maybe you want to change your diet. You want to stop eating meat. You want to become vegan, right? You want to visualize yourself doing these things and having the resources to do so. And you want to visualize yourself in position to take advantage of whatever clues the universe gives you to direct you down that path. And this is what this time of the solstice is for. This is a time of overcoming. What you want to do with this time period is you want to utilize it for your future, for your best interest, for your 2020 and beyond, for the next decade of your life. What do you want to see? Who do you want to become? What do you want to create? How are you going to live your purpose? What fears do you have to overcome? Do you have a poverty mindset? You want to see yourself being abundant. You want to see yourself with riches. You want to see yourself with money. You want to see yourself in the dream car, in the dream house. Do you have a lack mindset where you think you're not supposed to even get the love of your life or get the relationships that you want? Do you feel like that black man, right? that you think all black men are bad. You, and vice versa, you think all black women are bad. Do you have that mentality, right? Is that something that you have trauma, childhood trauma that is unaddressed, that you haven't healed? This is the time to look at all these things and make a serious assessment of your life. The 21st during the day is great. The 22nd during the day is great too, right? But the night of the 22nd or Saturday night, those 2 nights, very, very important, because we have more night than day, which means we have the ability to tap into the frequency of the astral plane, of Akasha, and become what we need to be. And this is what the Jews have done. And this is what they do every year, year after year after year. And this is why they are manifesting Israel. This is why they are able to run Hollywood. This is why they are looking like black people. Look at the Orthodox Jews. They wear all black. They lock their hair. They wear these thick, nappy beards. The locks are thick and nappy. Who are they trying to look like? This is our culture. This is stolen African technology. And we have to get back into it. And we have to start utilizing it for our own self-interest. We have to start tapping into these myths and using the energy of these myths to power up who we are. Solstice. The word solstice means sol, means sun, and stis means still. So it basically means the sun is standing still. And if we look at the corresponding days from the 21st to Christmas, which is coming up, the birth of Jesus, right? Jesus in Kemetic theology is really Heru. The story of Jesus is the story of Heru or the story of Horus. The story of Heru is one who overcomes. Heru is the one who defeats Set. Heru is the one who defeats Set, who goes through the underworld and defeats Set. What is the underworld if the underworld is not outer space, if the underworld is not darkness, if the underworld is not dark energy, if the underworld is not dark matter, that same dark matter that we see when we look up in outer space, that same dark energy that we look up in outer space and see, that same darkness that we go into when we sleep, that same darkness that we go into when we meditate, that same darkness that we go into when we're thinking thoughts, when we're using our imagination, when we are creating. That's the same darkness that we are able to tap in during this solstice. So let's tap into this Heru energy. Let's tap into this willpower energy, because that's what this willpower energy, that's what this energy is all about. This energy is all about willpower. This energy is all about Heru. This energy is all about Shango. This energy is about overcoming. The same thing that the Jews are using it for and saying it's about triumph against all odds. That's what the celebration of Hanukkah is about. Not really about anything other than celebrating the history and their history or their myth and the triumph of their culture, and also to instill in them and their family the spiritual principle of triumphing against all odds. But that is the story of Heru. That is the story of Jesus. The birth of Christ on the 25th is really the birth of you. That's the end of the solstice ends on the 24th, the night of the 24th, right? And then the next day, they say that's Christmas is celebrating the birth of Jesus. Spiritually, it's celebrating the birth of a new you. It's celebrating the birth of a new you. So let's tap into their spiritual power. Let's use this energy wisely. What I'm going to be doing, this is not the time to be eating like, you want to fast during this time. You don't want to be eating meat. You don't want to be eating chicken. You don't want to even be eating fish. You don't really want to eat any animal. For the next, up until the 26th, what I'll be doing, I'll be eating like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I've already committed myself. I'll be eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and tea and stuff like that, and lentil soups, things that don't have any meat. Because this is not the time to be taking in any animal that's domesticated or animal that's been tampered with hormones. If you could fast, that's even better. Fast, you know. I'll be eating probably like once or twice a day. But fast. This is not the time to stuff yourself. And I know Christmas is coming, and that's when people are with family. They're going to be eating a lot. Again, if you're with your family on the 24th and your 25th and you want to eat, I'm not telling you what to do. I can't tell you what to do, but you want to be mindful of your consumption. You want to be mindful. And if you are going to eat some meat, pray over it. And by pray, I'm not talking about praying to a sky daddy. I'm talking about speaking over your food and putting positive, powerful energy into your food. Words carry vibration. That's the whole science of praying over your food. It's not to pray to Jesus. It's about putting positive vibration into your food, positive energy into your drink even, right? Carrying the vibration, because words are power. I hope this made sense. Like, share, subscribe. Peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Blackstorm, I'm out. Y'all, I'm adding this from Raul Neferamen's book on the winter solstice. These are some of the things that I'm going to be working on and some of the things you could be working on as well. Again, peace, power, and prosperity. Thank you for visiting. Like, share, and subscribe.